Thanks for everyone who's joining us. This is the
Thanks,
December
Chris.
27th Lee Planning Board meeting. We want to let all participants know that the meeting is being recorded. We ask that everyone stay muted until you're called upon. And if you would like to be recognized, please use the raise hand button under reactions at the bottom of your screen. Looks like we are all set, Chairman Donovan.
Okay, at this moment, I'd like to call to order pursuant MGL Chapter 30A, Section 20, hereby informing all attendees that a video and audio recording is being made of the meeting. First on the agenda is our public hearing of our zoning bylaws. I would like to open this public hearing. We have received all the recommendations from the 360 code, as everybody saw in your packet. We don't have Peter with us tonight. So, I mean, we were really just looking at this. We had it to send it on. Anybody got any ongoing thoughts on any of this?
I think we should just, I think we should continue, if anyone wants to talk about it, of course, but I think we should wait until Peter comes back to be part of the discussion. We've waited this long. I think January 13th, January 10th is our next meeting. I don't think it's that big a deal, but that's what I think. Dave, sorry, I think I cut you off.
The only thing I have is, have we got everything we want from Attorney Pollard? As if we don't, maybe we should work to get that done before we discuss this. Didn't I see some of the information on there was waiting for attorney's opinion?
Yeah, I think we had a few questions there. You're right. In the beginning of the response from them, they mentioned how we were asking for town council.
I thought we solved that.
I thought we did too.
Yeah.
I thought we went ahead and actually answered those questions on our own. Actually, I think Peter filled that in. Of course, Beth's not here tonight. She had a last minute scheduling issue, so
yeah,
we're off on that too. So I don't know. I just think it's probably better to wait till January 10th so we can have everyone.
That's what I agree. Peg, what do you think?
Yes, I think it's good to wait till the 10th, but we could ask Mr. Pollard for any thoughts he has on the, I thought that as I read it, and I did not read it that clearly, I will be honest, we got it on Friday and today's Monday, and it was a time where families gather, some families, and I think he did ask about the sign bylaw, or she did, whoever did the E-code. So I would be very interested to know, Jeremiah, Mr. Pollard, our town attorney, things on that. We have asked him, but again, he did give us 3 towns way back when that did this. So I'm very concerned that we do this properly and we don't have any repercussions from what.
Peg, are you talking about the sign? Sorry to interrupt, but are you talking about the sign input?
I'm talking about the thing that we got from the ACLU, Matt. And
no,
I think
we're not talking about that actually right now. We're just talking about
that. I lost you.
Well, that is my thought on it, Matt, if I'm not mistaken.
No, the ACLU one is a separate one that we're going to be working on, separate from this general code. What Dave Forrest was mentioning was the general code that we received. There was some mention on there about town council. So so those are 2 separate issues. So I think we should probably wait until January 10th to have this group discussion on and give everyone a time to actually read, because it was a busy weekend for me too and for everybody. So give us time to read the packet that we got on Friday. Agreed. There's a lot to it.
So I'd be happy to make a motion that we continue this until, what is it, January 10th? 10th, sorry.
Yeah,
Bob.
I'll second that. And the only
At
thing I'd
6
say is if anyone's here that has any general questions on our bylaws, I guess they could ask now since it's open before we close it and continue it.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah, I
Anyone
agree.
out there, any questions on this bylaws that are being presented?
Again, I
Okay.
don't know if we should speak to Beth and just make sure that we have anything and everything from Attorney Pollard for the next meeting.
I
I hate to
agree.
have the meeting and then have to wait for him again.
I thought we settled on it, Dave. Some of the
Well,
questions
just
we had.
have Beth check with him.
Yeah,
um,
okay.
And then we'll just leave it as that.
It's a good idea. I think I agree with Buck. I think we did solve it, but probably be good to have Beth just follow up, or if Beth can answer that we did solve it, if she agrees with that.
Sure. Okay.
No one's
I
No
did
more
make-
discussion.
no more
Excuse me.
discussion.
Yes,
We
Peg.
should raise our hand, right? We should raise our hand and just, yeah. Okay,
If
so I
anybody-
did make a motion that we continue it unless anybody else wants to speak, obviously.
So we already have a motion and a second, so
Yeah,
I
we
realize
do.
that. But now we need a time.
It will be the first item on the agenda of January 10th.
6 PM?
Yes, 6 PM.
Thanks. Thank you.
Roll call vote, Matt,
aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Peg,
Aye.
Buck Donovan, aye. Okay, so at this moment, I'll close the public hearing. I really wish people would get involved in this because I don't want to see it at town meeting and just turn into a mess. Because this is the time to ask the questions. So, you know what, guys? Gonna have to excuse me. I got to get some water for a moment. We'll take like 2 seconds, okay?
No.
Give me one, $2.
Oh, I know, all of us.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Moving on. Next item is site plan review, 635 Laurel Street. This is the Cork and Hearth property. Apparently, with all the changes between Jamie and everything, the proper paperwork didn't get sent to the selectmen. So it looks like there's a draft for a letter for us to send to the selectmen that we approved the site plan with the conditions. Any discussion on this? Do you guys think this is kind of a formality now?
Peg's got her hand raised.
Yes, Peg.
Thank you. Was this in our packet? I must have missed this totally.
It is.
It is.
It
And when-
is. If you go here, I'll bring it up.
Could you kindly? Thank you. Oh, okay. You're right. Oh, I think the letter is what I was missing.
Right there.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's what we have.
And this was sent on December 22nd, 2021.
No, that's the problem. It was never sent from
It
the
was
planning
never sent.
board to the select board. We missed that. I was chairman at the time. Of course, I recused myself from the site plan, but somehow it fell through the gaps where we were in that chaotic time with not a administrative assistant, and it just fell through the gaps. So this is basically going backwards for some housekeeping on what we approved and formally have a letter to the select board. And I think if you go down further, there's minutes of this meeting of December 22nd, 2021 that shows you what we,
Yep, here's the
Approved.
minutes.
yeah.
Look good, Peg?
Well, it's fine. I just was wondering who sent this letter? No, I mean, I just.
I think maybe Beth did the draft. I'm not,
Yeah, Beth drafted
Not
this
sure.
for us
so,
to send.
Okay, but I guess I missed this, so I mean, I'll take responsibility for missing this. I just was wondering who sent the letter or why
No-
Beth's.
Nobody has sent a letter anywhere yet. This is a
Oh.
letter that we need to send to the select board. Okay, Beth has drafted this. It says draft right on top.
Yeah, I see that, Beth.
Yep. And this is what nobody has sent this. Our own department did this. No outside people did it at all. Okay?
Yeah. Okay,
And it's to reflect what happened on these minutes back here.
right.
And this approval should have gone to the selectmen back in February, but it did not.
back in December, right? Or no, back in, I'm
February.
sorry, back in February, yes,
Yeah.
yeah. That, like I said, I was chairman at the time, even though I recused myself, it fell through the cracks because of our, it was pretty chaotic back then.
Yeah, we didn't have a land use assistant. Chris was filling in. And then Beth came on board and it just didn't get done.
Yeah, I'm surprised it didn't come up sooner, but
Well, there was also the land use, the land court suit was going on also. So,
yeah,
remember?
yeah.
Okay. So I'd like to entertain a motion to endorse this letter and send it on to the selectmen.
I will do that.
Dave Forrest, second.
Dave Forrest motions. I need a second.
I don't know if
I think you're still recusing yourself, Matt.
Well, so here's the thing, and I'd be fine to recuse myself. This is not voting on the actual site plan. This is a housekeeping
Exactly. Yes.
paperwork issue that just needs to be submitted to the select board. So I don't know if it's a conflict for me to be involved on this or not,
I still think you should stay out of it.
but that's why I wanted to mention to you. So I'll recuse.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have a second?
And this is just to send this letter to the select board, correct?
That we have already
That's right. Okay.
approved the site plan,
That's right.
is all this is saying.
Yep.
Do we have a motion? Peg, do we have a second?
Not at this time.
Peg, if you don't second this, we're not, this is dead and this is not gonna happen. Is that what you want to happen?
I don't, I just, maybe at the next meeting, I'd be happy to second it.
We already did
Okay.
this in February.
Buck, as chair, can you second a motion?
You can second the motion, Bob.
I will second the motion then.
You are okay to do that.
But we need 3 votes, Peg.
I am recused, but seriously, this is like a office. It's like filing something in a folder. The actual site plan and everything is already completed. It's what do you need to approve, Buck? Can't you and Beth just sign off on this since it's already approved? This, I mean, I'm just asking. I don't know, but isn't this?
I was hoping to get a consensus of the board, but I didn't think it'd be that difficult.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if you even need it because it was already done. You're just putting something in writing that we already did, like you normally would. So like when you hosted the meeting
Yeah.
after I recused myself, at the end of that meeting, you could have signed the letter that if we had a land use assistant would have typed up for you and you would have just signed off on it. Isn't it the same thing, even though it's done, even though we missed it at the time and you have the minutes to back up? We never asked for a vote on a letter.
Well,
Or is it because
we're
it's been
kind
a
of
year
like
later?
we're reapproving the project because it does say in here, the board recommends approval of the project.
I got you. Okay. I just thought I mentioned.
No.
Okay. There's a Mr. Daniel Glissman here. I'm going to unmute or just unmute yourself, Daniel.
Yes, hi. Good evening, members of the board. Thank you. My name is Dan Glissman. I'm an attorney on behalf of the Forest Wild team. And my understanding of in part, the reason for this is, as the chairman said, the paperwork was never formally submitted. And for our purposes, in terms of getting our ducks in a row, if you will, for the Cannabis Control Commission, we need to show, all of the approvals. And so we had asked what the typical procedure was in Lee in terms of whether or not there was a formal written decision for the site plan approval that was then gone on to the Board of Selectmen for the final approval. And our understanding is that it is just this letter of recommendation, if you will, which essentially just memorializes the meeting that was held and the vote that was taken. And so we're just, I think for our purposes, we just needed to, we'd been looking for this and we reached out to staff and it was determined that there was not a draft previously presented to the board. And so our hope was to just, essentially ensure that the record was accurate and correct. And so that I think is the intent of this, this memo. But I agree, this is not a public hearing on 635 Laurel Street. This is merely a motion, or excuse me, a confirmation of the board that the vote did in fact take place, consistent with the meeting minutes that are on record in the town, et cetera, et cetera. So I just thought I would introduce myself and
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Glissman.
Thanks,
Peg has
Dan.
her hand up. I'm going to go to
Yeah,
Peg.
Peg.
No, go ahead. I'm okay. I remember that meeting and it does say this, but I guess I was wondering, in the minutes of the meeting, Mr. Glissman, I'm sorry, I don't know if I got your correct name or not. There were 5 conditions that we voted upon on that special permit hearing, I believe. If you research the minutes.
The minutes, I believe, are just below this. Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
I don't know, actually a little bit lower, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Scroll down just some more. Yeah, this is the exact minutes from the town records.
Okay.
And I think
So-
all the conditions are towards the bottom.
So could that be included with this?
That's
It is.
what this is, Peg. We're
Okay, I don't know why I didn't get this, but I did not get this. So that's why I'm sort of
all
like,
we're just saying is taking all of that and sending it on to the selectmen.
that's fine. But I don't know if I read this over. I did read most of everything and I'm in a little quandary here. I think if the minutes are included of the
That's what we're
meeting,
saying.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
absolutely
Well-
included. That's the
Okay.
practice is a letter followed by the minutes, essentially.
okay, all right. Then I really don't have a problem with this if the minutes are included. And as you said, they are. I
Yep.
have no problem with it. I was just in a little bit of a quandary because for some reason I missed this when the packets were sent out. And as long as the minutes are included, I have no problem whatsoever. So I would
Okay.
vote aye. In
Any-
that case, I would
any-
vote aye.
Any further discussion? Like to do a vote? Peg,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Buck, Donovan, aye. This will be sent on to the selectmen. Thank you. Thank you, Dan, for your help
Yes, thank you.
and your time, everyone, tonight.
Peter Blum has joined
Yep.
us. He's just got
Okay.
to unmute himself. I see him looking around for it. There he
Okay, I'm
goes.
on. Okay, I got it.
There he is. Hey, Peter.
Hi. Sorry I'm
Um,
late, you guys.
We just went through the Cork and Hearth letter, and we did vote to move that along to the selectmen. The next thing we have on the agenda, if you want to stick around, is sign permit.
Oh, that's my
you
favorite, Buck.
Oh, your favorite, I know. And just to let you know, the public hearing on the zoning bylaws, we're gonna forego until next meeting, so that
Okay.
you're around to discuss, okay?
Okay,
And I know you have a big family gathering, so if you want to get back to that, that could work.
all
Okay,
right. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
all right. Thanks
Bye,
for
everybody.
chiming in.
Happy New Year. I'll get out now.
Happy New Year, all.
Happy New Year, Peter.
Okay, next up, sign permit. Where are we?
Mhm.
Sunset Inn, pre-existing, non-conforming, they're refacing it. It's basically that. We've gone both ways on stuff like this. Sometimes we make them tear it down and get it to conform. Other times we've used the non-conforming clause and let them go with it. I see gentleman has his hand up.
Yeah, Karen is, yeah, go ahead. Karen, you're gonna have to unmute.
I'm Karen Patel. It's the Sunset Inn at 150 Housatonic Street. I just wanted to announce myself before we get any
Okay.
further. Any questions for me? That's all.
Okay,
Yeah, essentially, it's just the old one is kind of worn and frayed. It's starting to, it's faded.
it looks exactly the same, right?
The coloring is a little bit different. I just changed up the wording and everything is a bit different. I put the sun in there and I made the mountains look more like Berkshire Mountains than I had before,
Okay,
but essentially the same.
Same
And this
size,
gives a little bit better contrast so you can see it from a distance.
same size.
Same exact thing. Basically, it's just a decal that goes over the polycarbonate.
Okay. I mean, I'd make a motion to approve the sign as presented stipulating that it's the same size as the existing sign. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So we don't have any measurements really on here.
It's 4x7, I think.
That's 28.
So it is, I think it is a little oversized, but it falls in that pre-existing.
Yeah, it's been up since 1960 something.
Yeah.
We've refaced it a few times, but last time was 2011.
Yeah, I think this is one of the bylaws that we're proposing to change to help this process out, correct, Buck?
Yeah, yeah. This, we're kind of on the fringe on how we're doing this, but the new bylaw, I think, would make it more clear what we can do here.
Karen, do you have a photo of what it looks like now? I mean, I just can't picture it as or no.
It's like that, but it's a little bit darker. Is there a way of sending you a picture on this thing? I'm not sure how to work this.
I don't.
Can I email it to you, or is there anything through Zoom?
Do you have a picture of what it is now?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you wanted to email me that quick, buckdonovan1@gmail.com.
Buckdonovan1, the number?
Yep, #1@gmail.
Yeah, let me just.
Buck, I think there's some language in the building permit on this too. I don't know if we want to look at that since or if you already have.
Hold on.
In our packet, I think Beth gave us some info on
In the
that.
packet?
I think there's some info on the and right there.
Yeah. Here's the discussion that's gone
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, see, that's what I was afraid of.
Yeah, but it's not a new sign. It is a pre-existing.
So it goes into that 35% of the cost of
Yeah.
redoing it, right?
Yep.
And if it's not up to 35%, we can allow it, correct?
That's how I read it.
Okay, it's kind of how I read it.
It's taking me a second to get this.
Was it 6 point or let's see. So it's 7.5A for anybody that wants to. Any lawfully existing sign cannot be enlarged, reworded, redesigned, or altered in any way except to conform to the requirements of this subchapter. And provided further that any such sign which has deteriorated to such an extent that the cost of the restoration would exceed 35% of the replacement cost shall not be repaired, rebuilt, or altered except to conform to the requirements of this chapter. So we did just do a sign for the Quality Inn. They upgraded their flag, right?
That's also on Housatonic, right?
Right
Yeah,
next
it's 2 doors down from me.
2 doors
Yeah.
down.
West.
And I think I almost would say that we should refer back to that for a comparison of how we handled it.
I mean, that was I think that's a conforming sign though.
Well,
I mean, this would be more compared to roadway in.
right. Yeah, and roadway in, was in a residential
Yeah,
type neighborhood. This one is in our commercial business
Right.
corridor. And I almost think we should bring it up to conforming. But I'm willing to have more discussion on that, and I'm just talking out loud here.
I think if he was changing the design, I mean, it's not redesigned. It's basically just upgraded to the same. No different words. Not even a name change.
Yeah, it's like I said, there's some coloring changes for contrast, and that's about it.
Buck, do you have our proposed bylaw change handy to show the board what our?
Now you're stretching.
I know.
Let me
I was
see.
only thinking we could have that conversation to see if we are changing it, we could feel better knowing what we're changing it to allow, you know what I mean, to get us there.
Can I throw my 2 cents in?
Of course.
I think this sign has pre-existed for so long that he's only refacing the signs, no drastic changes, that we let him put a new face on it, and just stipulate it somewhere that when we finish all these zoning changes, the next time may have to be different. I mean, this sign is so old it isn't even funny.
Well, yeah, and that's part of the, process of, we want to bring them into conforming to the current zone. So do we want to, they're allowed 16 square feet in the current bylaw, right?
Yep.
That's 12 square feet smaller. I think that's kind of the idea is to get them smaller. Ideally, right?
Well,
Mhm.
what do we have on all the rest of the motels in that area?
Well,
I don't want to start off and make his sign half its size and everybody else down the street is at original.
Well, we have an example 2 doors down. The Quality Inn is I believe, that's why I said I'm just trying to be fair and equitable to everybody, and so including the applicant. But I believe the Quality Inn just put a new flag up that's a conforming sign.
Actually, it's the same. It's the same footprint as before. All it is just a new face.
Right.
But it's not a conforming sign. It was done in the early 80s.
Right. So that's why I want to make sure if we allowed the Quality Inn to go larger than the 16 square feet, then we should let Mr. Patel.
I don't think we did.
I don't think
I think
we did
they were
either.
at that 16.
I think so too. I kind of think that, but I'm not sure. But let's say, like Dave said, let's say another hotel, the Pilgrim comes in and wants to redo a sign. They're going to have to conform to the current bylaw also.
Well, it depends what they're doing. They're tearing the whole sign down. If he was tearing that sign down, I'd say 100%. If he was putting up new posts, everything, I'd say 100% bring it to what it is. But
Yeah,
just
I
the
agree.
refacing, I think it falls under the.
So it says, if you read, I mean, look, I'm in favor. I'm leaning towards I'd like to do it, but if you read the general code at A, I don't see. It says cannot be enlarged, reworded, redesigned, or altered in any way except conform to the requirements of this subchapter. So that's saying it can't do anything, correct? I mean, if I'm wrong on that, please tell me. I'll gladly accept it.
What would be the definition of redesigned?
Mm.
And can this fall under maintenance as opposed to
Yeah,
redesign?
okay.
It's not
Cannot be
enlarged,
enlarged.
it's not reworded.
Hmm.
I mean, altered, I guess, the colors, but we really don't judge on colors.
No, and I'm not, but it says
Yeah.
altered in any way.
Mm.
So let me ask you this. Look, I'll go along with whatever the board wants, but is our goal to help those outdated signs that might be too large conform to the current bylaw, and we agree with the current 16 square feet, so that as these signs come in front of us and they are going to get redone, do we want them to lean towards our bylaws because we pass these bylaws to make our CBC corridor better looking? Or do we want to just say, the heck with it, let them keep the same sign?
There, again, I think if he was doing a whole new sign, I would definitely lean to that.
Okay,
I
I'll go-
don't know.
I'll go along with the board. I just want to talk about
Anybody,
it.
Peg, you got your hand up?
Yes, I tend to agree with you, Buck, Mr. Chair, that if we were doing a whole new sign, I would definitely want it to conform. I hate to say this, but there are many signs, if you walk up and down the street, that probably do not conform, but they've been there for a good long time. And I feel he's changing the color of the sign, and we can't legislate. Maybe we can. I don't know. I don't think we can legislate it. I just feel it's, if it were a whole new sign, yes, I would definitely want it to conform. But to me, this is making the sign better in some respects. It makes it more attractive. And again, that's my aesthetic guy, but others may not agree with it. But those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I'm not, I wish it was simpler than this. I'm just reading the bylaw and going by that. And so what's the goal of that bylaw? Every other sign that's there, that's non-conforming, Peg, maybe they haven't changed the sign yet, but when they do, the bylaw's there to bring them into conforming as the town passed these bylaws. So I mean, the current bylaw is 16 square. The current bylaw is 16 square feet. So, it's just like the car hardware building, right?
I know.
Same thing. They want to put up a bigger sign, but they can't because they're non-conforming in the DCBC. So maybe we need to change our bylaws. So
that could be,
man. If you tell me that the bylaws, if you read that bylaw and you can find a way around it, then like I said, I'll go along with it. But that's the discussion, I guess, is do we want these signs to conform to our bylaw, or do we want to just be fair, which we're all trying to be fair with Mr. Patel, and just let them do the sign as is? And I won't say anything else on it. I'll go along with whatever the board says.
Okay, do we have a motion on this?
Well, I think Matt made the motion, didn't he?
Did he?
And I
Did
think
you?
I seconded it. Did you, Matt?
I don't think I made the motion,
No.
but I will.
Oh, okay.
I'll motion to approve, or maybe I did. I'll motion to approve the sign as presented.
And I think I seconded it.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote. Matt?
You put me first.
Yeah, why not?
Well,
okay.
I will.
Okay, then Dave?
Yes, pass for now.
Aye,
Peg?
I'm in favor.
I'm Peg. Yes, I would vote aye.
Buck Donovan, aye. Matt?
Like I said, I'll go along with the board. I'll vote aye. Sorry for the,
Aye. So endorsed.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Patel. If you redo it, you already see what's gonna have to happen, right?
I do see that.
yeah, sorry
All
about
right.
that.
I see the truck coming.
It won't be a surprise then.
No.
Okay. Let me see. Approval of minutes.
I'll make the motion that we approve the minutes of, you'll have to help me out on that date. The date of, could you help, somebody help
Let
me
me
there?
find it here.
Okay, thanks. Okay, December 13th, is it?
Which ones did we have? That was that one. That she did. Yep, here we are.
December 13th, 2021. I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll do a roll call. Dave,
Aye.
Peg,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Buck Donovan, aye. Minutes are done. Discussion. So this is ongoing. We got a couple short-term rentals. Oh, looky who's here. Gordon.
I've already been here and I left.
We were, oh, okay.
I left on purpose and I may leave again. Go ahead.
On purpose, why? You didn't want to see the non-conforming sign?
I didn't want to talk about it.
I know.
I didn't
That's
even
all right.
want to know what you did with it. Anyway, here I am. What's up?
Oh, no, we're just having a discussion. Just started discussion about short-term rental. We have a couple drafts, Great Barrington and Stockbridge. And I think what we want to determine from the get-go, what our goal is here with what we want to do. Do we want to have a little bit of guidance over this? Do we want to have a lot of guidance over it? You know, Lennox did a classic knee-jerk reaction, driven a lot by their own inn owners with some protectionism to try to restrict it. Stockbridge, Great Barrington, they have, if you saw in your packet, I don't know if it's even worth trying to share all this. But it, you know, they looked at it and try to work around it. There's a lot of caveats and what looks like would work, you know, could be detrimental and vice versa. A lot of people, you know, first off, a lot of times short-term rental, you say, well, if the people live in the home, it would be okay. Well, what if you have the situation where you own the house next door to you and it's a family home, and then a lot of times, well, it has to be personally owned. Well, a lot of people put their own homes in LLCs. So, you know, there's a lot there. Personally, I don't know. I mean, I'll put this right up front. I'm involved with the industry, so I know a lot of what's going on with it. And I'll be honest, the forums that I see, the problems come when people buy investment properties and they live states away. So I think if we wanted to control the horror stories that you hear about it, if we put something in there where the manager or the owner has to live within a 10-mile or a 20-minute radius, that could solve a lot of our issues that we fear.
That's a good idea. Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's a good middle ground.
You know, Gordon, your thoughts on this one? I know,
Oh,
because
you-
I think those two houses in front of your property, are they doing this yet?
One, the little gray house is a short-term rental. The white house in front of mine is actually very long-term. They've been there like 12 years
Yeah,
or more, same family. The building code has responded to this somewhat, and so have the international code councils have, and so has our Supreme Judicial Court. I mean, I think the SJC has made it clear that short-term rentals, specifically non-owner occupied, is not the same as a single family long-term rental or single family owner occupied in a residential zone. And that was what we sent around quite a few months ago.
Mhm.
I think to everybody, if people actually read it. And I think one of the things you said is absolutely what we have to do, and that is, what's the objective? You know, we need to talk about, well, what's the objective here? I know the complaints that I've received and talked to people about as I go around town is they don't like being when they bought into a neighborhood and all of a sudden the house next door is rented on the weekend and there's 10 cars, many of them parked on the street with no controls from the planning board. And it's not an owner occupied, like you said, it's a business. It's basically a mini hotel with no employees. And that's where I find complaints from people who talk to me because they know I'm involved in the building code side. So they talk to me about it around town. I know the building code addresses a thing called lodging house, which is different than the general law in chapter 40, section 22A. They talk about lodging houses, but this is where it's primarily owner occupied, which means the people don't have to even be there. They could be in Florida for the winter for 180 days, as long as the rest of the year they live in the house. That's primarily owner occupied. And, you know, that's generally, as you mentioned, not the problem. The problem almost always complaint wise from neighbors and whatnot is when the owners are nowhere around, nor do they care to be, and they rent it out and they live 3 states away.
yeah,
They don't know what's going on. Many of them just have somebody who comes in and cleans. They don't really have a property manager. Some people have somebody who mows the lawn, and then somebody who cleans the inside, but they don't know what's going on in that
agreed.
house, or if they took the batteries out of the smoke detectors, or, a lot of this is going to be and has already been addressed in the building code, but people don't know it's there and they ignore it.
Yeah.
So I don't want to go much further other than to say I think the best thing to do is actually maybe to have some public forums to say, how do people feel about this and where do you want the town to go? Since we can't wait for a master plan to be done, I think we could do it with a public forum, and we'll hear from hotel owners and B&B owners and Verbo people. I think you'd have quite a good audience. And as long as you control the discussion, I think it would be a great place for the board to sort of get a feel for where the townspeople are. Because to me, I don't care about the out-of-state owners. I care more about what the town residents are, people who live in these neighborhoods all the time.
Right.
I'm concerned about them. That's all.
Yeah. So you think we should come up with our version of a bylaw to throw out there to start?
I think
with?
eventually you're going to need to.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't want to scare homeowners, business owners, B&B owners who are not homeowners, by throwing something necessarily out there first. I didn't know if the first start is, let's talk about what the townspeople want. Where do you want us to go? And then let us try and mold something. Maybe you have copies of Lennox and Gray Barrington's proposal and Stockbridge's proposal.
We do it. It's in the packet tonight.
No, I'm not saying us, Matt. I'm saying to the public, have it available for the public.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
say, here's some starting points. Why don't we have a public meeting at the high school, auditorium or outside or whatever, this whole COVID thing is crazy, or a Zoom meeting where we say, let's hear from the public. I mean, these are potential bylaws. What do you guys think? You know,
I mean,
how do you want Lee to go?
I mean, I
That's-
think we're doing that now. I think we've
We're
got
trying.
we've got a couple bylaws in the packet. It's short-term discussions on the agenda. Come to our
Right, but
meeting.
Matt, I think that it's not advertised to the population of the town in general to come and look at those documents and say, okay, come on this certain night, a special night where we're having a Zoom meeting and everybody can voice in their opinions.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, you can do that.
I mean, right,
If people
Matt, right
care,
now,
if people
no-
care,
no-
we can't
Go
even
ahead.
get them we can't even get them for our zoning bylaws that we were getting complaints about changing, and no one comes to even give us input on those.
but at least you can say we tried.
Yes, yep. So I think we put something together and maybe start a public hearing.
Sure.
Peg.
So, well, that's okay too, but I think you need to do something to get the public involved sooner than later and actually have it advertised better. You know, most people, you say the word zoning and they go to sleep.
Yep,
So, you know, nobody wants to deal with this.
yep.
So, but if you start talking about, you know, short-term rentals and B&B owners and verbos and all this, you may get some residential neighborhood people, regular full-time people who are gonna want to say, yeah, I got an issue with this. You know, they should at least go in front of you guys for a special permit to have them, you know, only have a certain number of cars in your yard, not park on the street,
Did
you
you,
know,
I
reduce
noticed,
the noise after 11.
just to interrupt,
Yeah.
both Stockbridge and Great Barrington, that's in both of their bylaws that off-street parking is mandatory and quiet time 9 to 7.
Absolutely. You got to have
And-
something like that to control it.
And Stockbridge even has the violation schedule
Yeah.
listed right
yeah.
in their bylaw.
So maybe you steal that
I'm gonna
for-
call on Peg's got her hand up.
Peg,
I'm gonna go to Peg
Peg,
here.
been waiting patiently. What do you have?
Go ahead, Peg. You gotta unmute yourself.
Unmute.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think it's an issue that people would be concerned about in residential, well, maybe in all neighborhoods. But
Well, it's going to be in
I would
residential
really-
neighborhoods. That's where it is.
Well, yes, but I feel that this is a really something, and I think, Buck, you probably know more about this than I do. But I believe Berkshire Regional Planning might come up with something too, or they're trying to look at it.
We, there was a discussion and it's linked in with it's interesting. Each town is dealing with it a little different. Because sometimes the argument is we have a housing shortage. So people
Right.
immediately say, well, if everybody wasn't doing the Airbnb, we'd have more apartments to rent. But when you really get down to it and look at the people that are doing the short-term rental, they wouldn't rent the apartment out long-term. They don't want to do that.
Well, I
So-
think the other thing you need to think
could I
about.
Well,
Go ahead. Sorry.
in the Boston Globe today, there is a very interesting article about what we're talking about. And I think you're right. People think it'll stop or whatever to provide more housing. It's a very interesting article in today's Globe, and it talks about how different towns deal with this. And sometimes they want, you know, the property, the line of the property or the setback requirements and everything like that to be included in it. And I think it's you know, it's very expensive today for people to buy a house, even in the town of Lee. I don't know how some people do it myself. And I just read too recently in the paper how the sterile manufacturing down there may raise 100 jobs or something, or so many jobs. So I do think it's something that should be addressed, but I really would like to get the public's input on this. Maybe we could draft up something, I don't know, but I would like to hear what the public has to say on this issue, because I do think there might be a divergence of opinion. I would just like to hear the public. That's all. Thanks. But the Globe article today is pretty interesting, and it talks about, and you can almost look at the towns if you know the Boston area and see how they're doing it and trying to address these issues. Obviously, some towns don't want to do it at all, and you can probably know the towns, and others are very, very open to it. The other thing that was done at one time was in the city of Holyoke, where it was the man that ran against, he went to Provincetown as a town manager. He ran against, I think it was Richard Neal.
Alex Morse.
Alex Morse, thank you, Matt. Yes, and he had, in Holyoke, they did some things with buildings, and it was quite interesting too, I thought. I had read this 2 or 3 years ago when he was running, and I thought, gee, that's pretty interesting what they did there. So there are, I think, a lot of creative, interesting ideas that I'd be interested in hearing. Thank you.
Sure. Matt?
So I'm open to anything to involve the public. I appreciate the Stockbridge and Great Barrington bylaws that we have in our packet, and I was reading both of them, and both I thought were good. And you know, I'm a fan of us working on it together with the goals. If we, like Buck said, if we want to set some goals, what our objective is, and try to stick to that. And then I'm all for sending out some extra advertisements, but we do a Zoom meeting just about every 2 weeks. So when we start working on it, I just feel like we can, if there's something else we can do, put it on our website to ask the public to come join us. I'm all for it. But I do like the bylaws that we received. I think it gives us a good starting point, and we could work off of that. And, you know, I hope the public comes to all of our, especially the public hearing when we actually are going to vote on it, but I hope they come before that. So anyways, that's all I have to say.
So I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I think our objective is I don't think we're looking to ban short-term altogether, are we?
No.
But I think we're looking to make it as low impact as possible to neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my concern is the part of the disruption of the neighborhoods. That is probably
off-street parking for sure.
Yeah.
It's a huge one. Noise, and proximity of ownership.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Gordon, what's the wording you use where a person, it's not their.
It's called primarily owner occupied.
So that's the second homeowners, right?
It depends. Where do they live?
Mm-hmm.
Primarily owner occupied means they have to show that they at least and that they at least live here more than 50% of the days of the year. I actually have a friend who does not drive to their other home in Baltimore to make sure that they aren't primarily occupants of Baltimore, so they don't, because their tax structure is different and they want to vote here. So there's a lot of issues about what primarily owner occupied is. You know, you don't get to vote in New York, New Jersey, and Massachusetts. You know,
right.
you have a primary place you live, and that's where you vote. You know, and but that's down the road. I think you're making a list that's reasonable, that you're going to hear from if you have this in public. And again, go downtown, talk to any Lee resident and say, what's the planning board working on now? Nobody has a freaking clue, because nobody goes on our website, the town website, and nobody looks at it. It's a rarity.
Put a bug in Josh Bloom's ear. He'll let you know.
Well, you get, I just looked when I first logged on, there were 12 people here. And what, 6 of us are board, associated with the board. So you have 6
Yeah.
public members.
Yeah,
But nobody knows it's
they were
almost
only
the
here
same with the
for-
Board of Selectmen. Nobody pays attention.
No, and they were only here for really the first issue, and
Yeah.
then they were gone.
There's 6 people
Another
right now.
interesting one another interesting one I saw in one of those bylaws was if it is a second homeowner and it isn't primarily owner occupied, they're limited to only certain amount of days.
Yeah, it's in Lennox.
They can-
Yeah, that's in Lennox.
Well, that's anybody in Lennox is
Yeah.
limited to
That's
70
correct.
days. But this was the second homeowners were limited, which was kind of nice, I think, because a guy from Great Barrington brought it up at Berkshire Regional that Great Barrington and even Lee, it's not cheap to live here. And a
Mhm.
lot of people are using this to supplement so they can live here.
Mhm.
And it, I don't know. You look at my guest book, and the guests that we've had, they've spent an awful lot of money in town. I mean, and that's worth something.
Yeah, that's why we don't want to ban it.
It,
I
Yeah.
don't want to ban it.
yeah,
But
Peg.
it's also, is it in your home where it's primarily owner occupied? The smoke detectors have batteries,
Yeah.
you know that this you're shoveled away out to the parking lot. There's maintenance involved that you guys provide. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
You're not going to let a bunch of college kids around graduation time have 20 cars on the property and party all night long with a bonfire in the backyard. This happens.
That's right.
And Peg
Mhm.
has her
Yeah, I
hand up.
know.
I want to be quiet and let
Yep.
her go.
No, that's
Go ahead,
okay. I think what you said, Gordon, tonight made me laugh when you said zoning puts people to sleep. And I do think, it is complicated. It's not easy, and it gets involved, and there's all kinds of things involved, but I do think that's true. But I do agree with you. I think that owner occupied, well, I don't know, we'll have to discuss it, but you're not going to allow someone, if you're on the property, do the kinds of things that you had just mentioned. And I do think some people have rented out and haven't maybe cared as much as maybe people would if they were living on or near the property. So it is something that can be a problem. And in the article today in the Globe too said that they're trying to help people find rental property that they can afford. And they were saying that even if we did this or something happened from this, it wouldn't happen overnight. It would take a while to do it. So it's an interesting article. And when I saw it, I thought, oh my goodness, that's what we've been talking about. And so is Berkshire Regional Planning. So thanks.
Buck, I was just going to say on your example, I do agree with you that people use it to help themselves,
Yes.
or to live here. But the thing is, if you're doing it while you are living there.
Exactly.
And so you are helping offset which I totally agree with. It's the ones that have 2 or 3 homes and rent them out. And what I'm saying is, I don't really feel bad for them. They don't need 2 or 3 homes. So, but I'm totally in agreement for someone who needs to offset some income to be able to rent out their basement or a room or
Tell you, it's a lot of fun too. It is a lot of fun, especially one of the setups we have. It's an experience. So,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
just a couple things. One thing that Matt said, I agree in general with everything that's going on and where you're heading. But if somebody starts buying 2 houses, 3 houses in a town and doesn't live in one of them, or even lives in one and has 2 or 3 others, that's no longer, it's a business.
It is.
And they
Mhm.
should be
Yeah.
treated as a business, and they
Yep.
should be controlled as a business, because do we allow a manufacturer to move into an R30 zone and just set up
Mhm.
business without controls? No.
Mhm.
And I don't see that there's any way where when somebody non-owner occupied or primarily owner occupied buys up all these houses and starts running it, with almost no controls from the town. And that's what that Supreme Judicial Court issue was about. Is there does need, it's not allowed under regular zoning, and it needs to be set up to be like by special permit, or at least have a strict set of guidelines that can be enforced. That's one of the points I wanted. The last point I'll make, and then I'll be quiet, is that, this has been going on in the Cape and everywhere for years. Look, I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
and there's, I won't mention the name, but everybody knows that there's a person right on Main Street near the Catholic Church has been renting out their house to Tanglewood people while their kids slept in the backyard in a tent all summer. I mean, since the 70s. It's like, come on, it's not new. It's just,
No.
it's taken a different spin because it's become the popular thing to do, just like bed and breakfast, technically bed and breakfast were. And we controlled that for a while with our zoning bylaw, but nobody even does that much anymore. It's all gone to Airbnb and Vrbo now. And I would think the hotel owners, and that's who actually lobbied the most to the governor and the legislature, so that everybody is supposed to, if they advertise an Airbnb and Vrbo and all that, they're supposed to be logged in with the state and pay room taxes.
It's beyond supposed to. You can't
Well-
get a login without that number.
Right, and you can do it illegally, or if you've been doing it for 20 years and the same people are renting, they're not going
That's
to
right.
go directly to you. I mean, that's a different issue, and I'm not even talking about them.
Yeah, right. We
You
can't
know,
You're
control
never
everything.
going to
That's a-
stop that.
Yeah, that's gone. That's gone. So
That's
you
right.
have to go from here with who's registered, and the building code is going to be adjusted to address that, because they've put their head in the sand forever and continue to. So there's a new edition of the code coming out that will be addressing it in some way, form, because of the way things are
Okay.
going. But anyway, that's all.
I just want to say that, being in the real estate business though, I get one call a day at least that's mentioned Airbnb.
Yeah. Mhm.
One call a day.
How are they mentioning it, Matt?
Well-
If the town has restricted it yet, or what are they looking for?
Yeah, they look for, I tell them each town has different bylaws. Some have them, some don't. I said most of them allow, I always tell them most of them allow them. There's some restrictions.
Mhm.
They have a lot of people who are looking to buy, in their head says we may rent this out. So,
For an income property is what they're looking at. So,
Yeah.
so I think,
well, they have a, say they're down in New Jersey and say, well, we're not going to be up here all the time. We may rent it, Airbnb it. And then when we want to use it, we can use it.
yeah.
I'm telling you, a lot of people.
That's a tough one there. Peg?
I just have one more question. And this is just something, do the zones that we have in town, are they affected in this manner? Like, say you have a zone, you live in a zone that allows, I'm just bringing this up, it's a weird thing, but that allows a motel or something. Are you affected if you had a house in that zone? I'm just thinking of, are the zones going to be affected by this?
Right now, your zoning bylaw doesn't address it in any zone. That's what you're going to talk to the public about and address it with a new bylaw. And I think what you're going to need to look at is, well, are you going to do by special permit in the R 20, 30, 40s, but allow it as a by right, in CDC and that kind of stuff, where you have a more commercial nature, because this is it's a business. It's not just a single family inviting guests in on the weekend.
Sure. Okay.
Anyway, I got to run because there's another meeting I'm going to do. I just
Thank you.
wanted to check in. I'll talk to you guys later.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gordon.
Yeah, bye-bye.
You.
Okay.
Anyways, good bylaws, good discussion, and I think
It
it's,
is. Yeah.
Well,
it is.
And
We need
honestly,
to-
Matt,
Yeah.
I think once we get this one under control, I think we can jump into the other issue that is linked with this, and that would be accessory dwellings,
yes,
you know, totally.
I agree. And I'm in favor of it to help, like we've said, to help people offset their
Mhm.
cost of living.
I really, and I don't know how to word it. I haven't looked. There's a couple. Okay, here's an example right now. You know, the Brookside property.
Yeah,
Okay.
Where is that? Yeah. Or where is
Devon
that?
Road. Devon Road.
Oh, right.
That's
Okay.
always been a rental. And now I know the family is trying to, they're gonna do more rentals with that.
yeah,
So it's already in an LLC. So, and they live all around it, but nobody lives on premises.
great
But-
example.
But they would totally not
Yes.
want any shenanigans going on. But if
Right.
we said, okay, you have to live on premises, that would take that property, you know, right out of that. And if that property doesn't, you know, honestly, you think about it, if that property can't make money for the family, they're gonna, and keep that in the family, they're
Yeah.
gonna give it up and sell it to somebody that'll make a McMansion out of it and never be there at all. You know,
That's a great
Yeah.
example.
you know,
That's a real good
It's a
example.
great example of having a discussion that maybe the proximity, or maybe saying
Mhm.
owners, an
Yeah.
owner has to live in the same town,
yes, I think
Mm.
something like
Yeah.
that. It's a great
Or-
point.
I think Stockbridge had it. They had to be there within a half an hour of an emergency.
Right.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, I think that's a very good example to try to navigate around.
and I'm not sure, but did you read the Stockbridge one? I don't know why they got really hung up on the Title V aspect of it. I'm not sure.
Oh,
I don't know why.
Yeah,
I think-
I don't, because most of
Yeah.
Stockbridge is on Title V, I think.
Yeah,
that,
They don't have much.
but again,
down
that's
shore.
up to the owner's schedule to have it pumped out every,
Yeah,
you know, and it's going to be approved by the Board of Health when it's done, and
Yeah.
you know. so-
Peg?
yeah, I was gonna say that might be because of, there's property there that might be up for sale. I think Mr. Jackson owns it. It's on 183, and I don't know if that has Title V or not. And they've argued over that for for a while at different times. It might not be, but it could be. And the other thing I will say is that, having had experience in renting in the town of Leh since 1975, if you live close by, it is easier to get to if there is a problem. And it is different when it's on your own property or your property, and you know, but again, when they have 2 or 3 homes, or it's a business, it really is a business. And I think your idea of putting something in it, like what you mentioned about the Brookside property, is really a good idea, because I'm sure, well, I shouldn't say this, I can't speak for them, but I'm sure they would want to maintain the property in a good manner. So there are things that really need to be looked at with a critical eye. And I think this has been a great discussion this evening. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Dave?
Yeah, back to Stockbridge. I think why they weigh so heavily on Title V is
Mhm.
that if you have a bunch of people and the septic system is designed for 3, 5, whatever, and you put 10 people on it, you're doomed to failure. And wherever this thing is, if it's usually the lakeside, at least the Beechwood area is all sewered, but the other side is not. So once again, sewage goes to the lake.
Yeah.
Secondly, they don't have water meters for billing. So they're going to Title V for their billing per resident that's hooked up to sewer without a meter.
There you
So
go.
I think that's why they went heavily towards the Title V aspect.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think, I don't know. I don't, then some of them had, what did I read? A 10-person maximum. Now you take a place like Brookside, or you take, there's a few other large houses that aren't B&Bs right now. They could easily do 12, 14 people, so that's a tough, to find a maximum is hard. I don't know, certain per bed or 15 maximum to, I don't know, 20 or
Brookside's probably got Title V out there, right? Do they have septic out there, or are they hooked up? Are they sewer?
Ooh, I'm pretty sure that's sewer.
Might be sewer up there, yeah.
Devon Road has sewer.
Yeah. I'm trying to
Right
remember.
up to 4 corners of West Road is a force main down to Stevie Garrity's house.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I think, Buck, that force main is privately owned. I don't think the
it
town.
is.
I think Brookside owns one force main because I was on the board when we okayed it.
Yeah. What's
then-
Tool and all those have?
Yeah,
You
then
know
there
what,
was
they have
Gary
septic.
Pfeiffer was up there building, or
Mhm.
Pfeiffer, and he put a force main in. So a lot of these force mains go to single, double. They're not. Most of them aren't owned by the town because we don't
Right.
maintain any pump station.
Right. Yeah, I know Jimmy Kamali down on West Road. His is he's got an EV1 pump. So
Yep.
it's force main. Yeah. Huh.
Well,
Kathy, you
yeah, I
got
mean,
anything for us tonight?
No.
Just, no, you're just doing a fantastic job. And in terms of trying to get people to join, that's a tough one. I mean, it would be nice if you could have some of this information in the newspaper so that people can read it.
Who reads
type
that?
of thing. I don't know. But for me, I just read the obituaries to make sure my name's not in there.
Yeah, me too. You're not alone. Come on.
I know, but I just think you're doing a fantastic job. And I've said at the select board meetings, when we're talking about different issues with the Lee Youth Commission, I'm always saying to people, please join, please know what's going on. Don't wait until a town meeting. And then you say, well, I didn't know that. Well, why didn't you know that? People, you have 2 meetings a month. Select board has 2 meetings a month. Conservation Commission has 2 meetings a month.
It doesn't take much to go onto your website to find things out if you want to.
Right. Well, the new website, the new page is beautiful and so easy to look up information. So I don't know. All I can say is good luck, and I'll always be here to, listen to you and find out stuff because it's really important. It's important for the town to know what's going on. So you're doing a fabulous job, and just hopefully people will start committing to join these meetings. Are you on CTSB now, or you're still just recording?
Something like that. CTSB hosts the stream, and then I've noticed it's been put up on YouTube also.
Okay.
It's getting there.
Yeah.
Which has, I'd rather people come here and talk about what goes on rather than pick it
Just
apart
listen.
in social media.
Yep.
The selectmen got pretty hit recently on that, so that was too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
The selectmen got hit on what?
Social media talking about the master plan.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Berkshire Regional's not popular in a certain group,
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I mentioned that last meeting, yeah.
so I don't know. It's too bad because it's a great resource that we have in the county, and to turn your back on it would be tough. Yeah, I just don't see why. Two different issues, but
Right,
that's how it goes.
right.
Yeah.
We need to be careful. We need to be careful not to lose the people that can truly help our town.
Yeah.
you know? So, I don't know.
Okay. Thank you, Kathy.
You're welcome. Thank you. Take care.
All right. Okay, folks, anything else?
No.
No? All right. One more motion?
Motion to adjourn.
To adjourn.
So moved. Good night.